Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. We know we have to talk about some ugly Pokemon today, and we decided that ugly Pokemon today would be all of the steel types ever created. I know I'm going to have some pretty difficult choices, but we are going to do our best because I generally think steel type Pokemon are some of the coolest and most well-designed Pokemon in the entire game. So let's get started with Generation 1, and this is a really, really tough choice, guys, because I don't know if I'm going to select one magnet or 3 magnets. I think the answer has to be just the one magnet, but I will say that 3 magnets probably is a little bit more displeasing to the eyes because there's 3 eyes on each of these magnets as well, so I'm actually going to go with 3 magnets here. Now, Generation 2, this is where we make some interesting choices, and this is where I have to sit and think for a minute. I generally think they took Onix and turned him into Steelix, and it worked really well and it looked really cool. I generally think that Fortress, while it's not the greatest Pokemon in the world, is another Pokemon you kind of expected the evolution to look. It's got the cannons coming out. It's got the eyes in the middle. It's literally a fortress around the Pokemon inside, which I think is super cool. And don't get me started with Skarmory, dude. Skarmory is one of my favorite designs in the entire game. This thing looks absolutely incredible. Which one did I not talk about? Well, that's obviously Scizor. I think Scyther is one of the coolest designed Pokemon in the game, and then they took Scizor and they did this to him. They did this to our boy Scyther. They made him look 100% less cool, and it just really made me disappointed. It really did. Generation 3, hello there, Mawile. I was waiting for you because I said before, and I've said it a million times over, and people still get mad at me for saying it. Oh, goodness. Did you guys hear that? I told you they were upstairs. I told you they were upstairs playing D&D. It's getting heated up there. Anyway, I told you before, this is one of my least favorite Pokemon probably ever created. No one likes this thing, and if you do and you keep commenting and telling me why this thing is good, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just not going to be convinced. So I appreciate your diligence and your effort, but this thing is just too poorly designed for me to say anything nice about, and I think we can all at least agree that this is the ugliest Generation 3 Steel type. I have no clue why you're even a Steel type, and I have no clue why you're even in the game. That's my biggest issue here. Generation 4. Generation 4. I have some thoughts about one particular, never mind. We already know. Generation 5. You know, you can make a penguin with sharp claws. You can make a bug and give him jousting gear. You can make one of another million nut Pokemon and then evolve him into a bigger nut Pokemon. You can make a Pokemon that looks like Red Ranger and evolve into another Pokemon that looks like Red Ranger. You can make a Pokemon that's literally just a steel ant. And then you can make one of the coolest Pokemon ever, which is Genesect, and then you have Cobalion, and he's like, eh. But what you can't do is you can't make a Pokemon that's 2 gears, and then evolve him and add a 3rd gear, and then evolve him and add a 4th gear and a little thing around there. You cannot do that. So I'm going to give the ugly category to all 3 of Clink, Clang, and Klinklang, but I will say the absolute worst is probably Klinklang just because he's both names together, so he fits all 3. Moving on. Generation 6. This is the generation that introduced me to some of my absolute favorite Pokemon. Mega Lucario, one of my favorite Pokemon. Aegislash, one of my favorite designed Pokemon ever. Might actually be one of my favorite, other than probably Skarmory. But there's somebody in here. I got a problem with. And that person that I have a problem with is obviously Mega Mawile. Oh, let's add another tail, head, mouth thing, whatever it's supposed to be. And people will think it looks cool all of a sudden. No, nobody did. Oh boy, that was a mistake. Hold on. There we are. Generation 8, it's Stack Attacka. I already kind of explained it in a past video, but I'll kind of explain it again. Let's say you're drawing a picture of a house. You're like 4 or 5 years old, and you're drawing a picture of a house. And you draw the picture of the house, and you go and you show it to your mom, and you're like, look, mom, look at this house I drew. Look at this house I drew. And your mom's like, oh my goodness, that looks so good. This is going on the fridge. This is going on the fridge. And then it looks like this. This is what it looks like. I mean, you realize, 10, 15 years later, not even, you realize probably 5 years later, that it's absolutely terrible, and your mom was just telling you that because she's your mom and she loves you and everything you can do is perfect. But at the end of the day, this is what it looks like. This is the house you drew. This is the house you were so proud of when you were a kid, and all the embarrassment starts coming through and you never draw again. Generation 8. Oh, I did it again. There we go. My scroll wheel's struggling. I'm struggling with my scroll wheel today. We got some good options, and we got some bad options, and we have some stuff that nobody cares about, and then we have Galarian Stunfisk. Moving on. Generation 9. I think a lot of people thought I'm maybe going to go for Tinkatink here, because it's literally just little girl with a hammer, little girl with a bigger hammer, and little girl with a giant hammer. But I actually think the Pokemon is actually pretty cool, and that's not that far off from other stuff that's been done in the past. I think you guys might also be thinking that I may be going for Vroom in Revel Room. Absolutely not. It is the best name for a Pokemon ever. It's literally an engine, and its name is Vroom. I love this thing. So that means it's somebody on this bottom row. And first off, I was actually caught by surprise when I found out that Gimmighoul could actually evolve. And when it evolved into Goldango, I was actually pretty happy. I thought it looked super cool. It was made out of gold because you were collecting its gold coins the entire game. And then we have Iron Treads. Not disappointed in Iron Treads, but they have like 4 Donphan forms in one game, and it makes no sense why they chose to do that. Like, why do you have 4 Donphan forms in one game? Just give us something else that could have been a cool form like this. And then we have Kingambit. I don't know if anybody asked for Bisharp to have an evolution, but no one's disappointed. Kingambit's a really cool and very, very effective and very good Pokemon. What does that leave? That leaves literally just a Steel Worm. Because that's the best they could think of was a Steel Worm. That's it. They took Ekans, they gave him Steel, and threw him in the game. That's the best thing they could think of. Kind of disappointed in them. Well, Stack Attack will take the cake. I don't need to explain myself again. Thank you for watching. Let's do Fairy types tomorrow.